Hello everybody, Jet here, and welcome to a Total War Warhammer free blog post which we are going to be discussing today. A very exciting one, trust me. We're going to be discussing the Siege rework, which they are going to be doing in their Proving Grounds. If you're not aware what Proving Grounds is, it's like a beta which you can go into to test and give feedback on new features, this time for Sieges. It'll be open between the 24th of July and the 7th of August, and the aim is, as they are saying here, to make Sieges more fun. Let's jump straight into it. I'm sure you can see it. The most important thing here, pocket ladders are going. I'll discuss it a bit after I've gone through all of this, but yeah. So the biggest change we will be focusing on in this update is the removal of the so-called pocket ladders, which allowed most infantry units to pull a siege ladder out of nothing and climb the walls of a settlement. In the Proving Ground, this is not going to be the case, and players, and the AI of course, will need to rely on different tactics to overcome the defences of a well-fortified settlement. Why they've made the change? There are two main reasons we want to introduce this fundamental change to how sieges work in the game: gameplay and immersion. Total War always strives to depict battles in a realistic way. And yes, in our world, dragons and giant flaming heads are counted as realistic. All other projectiles are physically simulated. Shields are providing protection only from the front. Types of hit reaction are based on a relation between the impact force, which is different from damage, of the attacker and the mass of a defender. Even though it's not perfect, and there are many more aspects we can improve, we believe that the ability to pull a huge ladder out of your nothing can be quite immersion breaking for players and takes away from the more realistic planning of a battle. In addition, this makes walls almost obsolete and allows enemies to bypass them with ease, making defending choke points inside the settlements the obvious choice. This is not how we want sieges to feel. How these changes will affect the game. These changes will make your strategic decisions much more important and have you plan your approach to or defense of a siege more carefully. And if you don't like them and prefer to get to the slaughter faster, you can always turn pocket ladders back on in the option menu. Just make sure you do that before you actually get into the battle. So, this is huge. This is something we've been asking for a long time. Because as they said, walls feel pointless. That's literally something I say in my videos regularly. I'm sure I'm not the only one who says that. So this is huge. If you've played some of the other Total War games, I mean Siege of Thrones of Britannia and Pharaoh, for example, sieges are much more fun because you've got to think about it much more. You can actually defend your wall. Whereas I hate to say it, in Total War Warhammer 3, I generally auto-resolve sieges because I just don't enjoy them. Anyway, siege equipment rebalance. This is the next big bit. So with the removal of pocket ladders, the removal of pocket ladders requires a ton of other changes to make sure the game functions without them. The siege equipment availability has been rebalanced, and players will now be able to field more siege towers and battering rams in siege battles to compensate for the lack of ladders. Stacks like speed and durability of that equipment have also been changed to make them more effective at their intended functions. In addition, we are changing the way siege attrition works and turning it into a linear progression, making it be stronger and stronger in each consecutive turn the settlement remains under siege. So you're going to start slow, get faster. How will these affect your game? Players will now need less manpower to construct siege equipment, which means it will be more readily available when sieging settlements. On the other hand, settlements are going to be a tad less susceptible to siege attrition in the early stages of a siege, while taking less overall turns to fully succumb. Now, I'm not sure I'm a fan of this, because this is very much a balancing thing. Because yes, you want to have a reasonable amount of siege equipment, but if they make it too quick, that's going to basically mean that, yes, siege ladders are gone, but if I can, instead of having siege ladders, if I can have 6, 8, 10 siege towers within 2 or 3 turns, it's the same as. You're still going to be able to hit from multiple locations with a force, so I'm interested to see how that works. I think that's going to be a tricky one to balance. If I'm honest, I think I'd prefer it at its current rate, because then it's going to make sieges much more focused, so you can actually defend against the siege much more effectively, which is how it should be. Defensive adjustments. What we've changed. We've adjusted the stats of defensive towers and gates. Towers will now be slightly deadlier, but have a much shorter range, while gates will be more durable when it comes to attacks from regular and some monstrous infantry, but less so against battering rams. Why they've changed it? Towers currently feel quite annoying for the attacker when they start shooting immediately after deployment, leaving no room for manoeuvres or executing strategic attack plans, while gates feel like they can be easily breached by mundane infantry, making specialised equipment like battering rams feel obsolete. How these will affect your game? These changes will allow you to manoeuvre outside the settlement you are attacking without being harassed, or open up an opportunity for you to batter it with artillery more easily, while making sure the defender is less helpless against direct, fast infantry attacks. So, yeah, that's all good. It's something, again, we've wanted for a while. There's a few mods do this as well. I think it's Pierce's defensive battles I've used a few times, which does certainly makes the towers less ranged, but gives them more damage. Which, actually, I think that is a very good change there, because realistically you wouldn't start your battle in range of being shot at. AI improvements. What we've changed. We can't just remove pocket ladders without teaching the battle AI how to play without them. So for these proving grounds, we have fixed over 50 issues related to how battle AI plays or reacts to certain situations, both on the attacking and defending sides in sieges. And some of those are not completely related to the pocket ladders. These changes will be present even if the pocket ladders are turned on from the options menu. What we've changed, the battle AI has always been tricky to get right, but that is most obvious in siege battles, and we are really trying to make it play better and react to the player's actions in a more realistic way. We are not saying we have fixed the battle AI, but hopefully these improvements will behave a lot more convincingly and offer a more interesting challenge. These changes will offer how these changes will affect the game. They will offer less weird behaviour from battle AI in sieges and allow it to be able to play the game without the use of pocket ladders. So defensively, it's probably much easier because they'll be able to hold the walls, and it will make much more sense for them to hold the walls. In the places you're attacking, they'll probably move between them. Offensively, they'll just use other siege equipment, I guess. We'll see. This is a very big overarching thing, so we can't say too much on it, but it sounds like a good thing. Siege map improvements. With this update, we are also starting an initiative of reworking old siege maps to make them play and feel better. For now, we have only done 3, one for Skaven, Empire and Orcs, but there will be more to come in the future after getting your feedback on them. Why they've changed it? The siege maps often feel a little too cramped, with little space to manoeuvre both inside and outside the settlements. With our rework, we are looking to open up those maps a bit, allowing more approaches to victory points, as well as wider spaces for larger forces to engage one another. Now, we'll see what the maps are like, but I'm not sure, because cities have choke points. They should have choke points. If you lose the wall, you should be able to fall back to a choke point. That is a classic way of fighting a siege, so again, we'll see. Hopefully they've not made them too open, because too open is as bad as too cramped. What's cooking? Everything we have listed here are just the first steps for us to get sieges where we want them to be, and we're looking at this as a long-lasting effort to improve the game. In the future, we have a wish list of possible options to explore, such as introducing ladders as new constructible siege equipment, rebalancing the way garrisons work and what units will be available to them for all factions. I'll come back to that. That sounds interesting. changing the way building towers and barricades work, as well as more battle AI and pathfinding updates. Last but not least, we understand that sometimes a lot of us just want to keep painting and campaigning the map in our chosen colour and not waste time with sieges or battles in general. So we are already hard at work on polishing out, with the heavy use of hammers and axes, the auto-resolve, making it function properly. Now this bit, units, the particular way they use it, rebalancing the garrisons and the units available to them. Now that reads to me like they want to give us some way of being able to control them. Because currently, you just get the units. You know, it wouldn't really matter what's unit. I guess it could just mean they're adding some new units, but I'm hoping that reads as we've got a way of tweaking our garrisons either from buildings or things. But the key thing in this, guys, the most important thing in this is pocket ladder removal. If you want to, guys, when this beta is available, jump on, give it a go, and give CA feedback. 'Cause feedback is what makes the game work. Your feedback, our feedback. Once you've had a go at it, give them the feedback. I mean, I can't promise you they'll read it, but they will read it. They will look at it. They will work out what worked well, what's gone down well, what hasn't, and let them know. And that is how we will make the game better. Anyway, as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe if you do enjoy this sort of content or want to see my campaign content. Other than that, as always, an extra special thank you to my channel members and patrons who help make all this possible. That is Monsterbound, Nose, Andrew T, Prataru, Gavin, Nick, Exodus, Patrick S, Wilson, Jason Air, Newbie1 Kenobi, Scrin, and Good Sir Twisted. And thank you everyone for watching. Cheers all.